Welcome to the Chapter Hearth. We wish you moments of joy and relaxation listening to our stories. When I was 8, my father ran away, burdened by debt, and my mother hastily remarried. Neither of them wanted me, an unwanted child. My mother callously handed me over to my father's mistress. That woman even spat cruel words, threatening to throw me in the trash. Yet, when I was bullied at school, she charged in like a lioness, fiercely protecting me. She toiled tirelessly, saving every penny just so I could have a chance to get into a top-tier university. Years later, when I had become an attorney earning a 7-figure income annually, my biological parents reappeared, feigning remorse and begging me to return to them. I looked at them with ice-cold eyes and stated simply, "I'm suing you both for child abandonment." You are listening to Diamond Jar Stories on YouTube. In the winter of 2004, on my 8th birthday, my father vanished, leaving our family with an enormous debt. My mother was utterly distraught upon hearing the news, crying every day, smashing furniture in the house with tears streaming down her face. I was so scared I didn't dare leave my room. Then, one day, she pulled me out and took me to a strange place. A young woman appeared at the door. Her eyes were filled with disgust when she saw us. Her name was Brenda Peterson, and she was my father's mistress. At the time, I never imagined that this woman, Brenda Peterson, would become so intertwined with my life. Brenda didn't know my father was already married and naively believed he truly loved her. If he hadn't run off due to debt, she might have been deceived her entire life. But my mother was different. She had known about the affair for a long time, but didn't care because she herself had a lover outside the marriage. I was merely a thread that helped them maintain the facade of a perfect family. When disaster struck, I immediately became an unwanted burden. My mother offered Brenda a placating smile.
"The creditors are closing in. Could you please look after the child for a while? Just 1 month. I'll come back for her. This is all the money I have left. Please take it for now. As for your money, I promise I'll find that scoundrel and get it back."
You'd better hurry up and get that money back. If you're late, I'll toss this kid in the trash.
In truth, my father not only cheated, but also took all of Brenda's savings before he fled. Brenda thought my mother was just using me as collateral. My mother nodded vigorously, then pushed me towards Brenda.
"Go with Aunt Brenda. I'll come back for you." Mom, don't leave me."
I desperately clutched my mother's hand, but I knew she wouldn't return. My mother slapped my backside, pushed me aside, and barked coldly.
"Go on."
All right. This little girl thinks my house is short on kids, huh? Don't block your mother's way. She needs to go get my money back.
While sobbing, I noticed another boy in the house. He was skinny, shorter than me, his hands trembling as he held a piece of wood, staring at me curiously. Brenda snatched the money from my mother's hand, counted it, and cursed angrily.
"Is this all there is? That jerk cleaned out all my savings."
She urged my mother to quickly find a way to get her money back. My mother, after pushing me away, hurried off without a single glance back. She said she would return in a month, but that promise was just a cheap lie. A month later, when Brenda took me to look for her, we discovered my mother had sold the house and vanished. Brenda gripped my hand tightly, standing in the deserted street, shouting furiously.
Both your mother and your father are heartless, ungrateful people. You're their child, so you're probably no good either.
Brenda angrily dragged me to the entrance of a children's home, but when she saw a little girl inside picking up a fallen bun from the ground to eat, she froze, unable to take another step. My eyes welled up with tears as I looked at her, and finally she pulled me back. On the way, she sighed deeply.
Come with me. At least you can help take care of Leo. When you grow up, you might even bring in a little marriage money.
She mumbled to herself.
Oh, God, why is my life so hard?
Ugh, why is my life so hard?
From then on, I began living with Brenda. That year, I had just turned 8, and Brenda was 28. Winter in the Northeast felt endless. Living with Brenda, life was far from easy. She sent me to the only elementary school in town, pouting.
Honestly, I don't want to pay for your school tuition.
But there was no other way. The state mandated it. Even so, before I left for school, she still adjusted my collar.
If you get home early from school, cook dinner for your brother. If you don't do well in school, know your place and marry early.
My younger brother Leo had a disabled leg and couldn't do heavy work. All the housework fell to me. Every day after school, I had to rush home to light the fire and cook. The large pot on the stove was big enough for me to bathe in. As for Brenda, she worked at a factory every day, picking tens of thousands of chopsticks, her hands covered in splinters. Back then, she had only finished middle school when she met my father, a businessman in the area. For love, she defied her family's objections, left her hometown, and came to this unfamiliar city. But the result was that she cut ties with her relatives and was swindled by my father. I heard these stories from the neighbors whenever they gossiped about her. A woman raising 2 children alone truly wasn't easy. Winter evenings grew dark very early. Brenda always came home when it was pitch black.
You useless thing. Why is dinner so late? Trying to starve me?
She snapped at me. In our shabby one-story house, I had to collect firewood to start the fire for cooking. I quietly watched her. She endured a lot of pressure and frustration at the factory, and when she came home, she would unleash all her anger on me. At first, the food I cooked was truly inedible. Sometimes it was burnt, sometimes raw, sometimes mushy. She scolded me incessantly.
What's the point of raising you? You can't even get a simple task done.
I bowed my head, tears streaming down, not saying a word, my heart filled with resentment towards her.
Come here, I'll teach you. If you ever dare to burn the food again, I'll beat you to death.
She grabbed my collar, pulled me close, and slowly instructed me. At that time, I still hoped my biological mother would come back for me. That way, I wouldn't have to toil with housework every day. But the very next day, Brenda's house burned down. When I came home from school, Leo, my disabled younger brother, was standing in front of the stove with an old crutch. Next to him, several bundles of straw were piled up, burning fiercely. He had lit the fire with a piece of birch bark, but accidentally burned his hand, instinctively throwing it straight onto the pile of straw. Leo's leg was disabled, and he had never seen such a large fire before, so he was scared stiff and collapsed to the ground. By the time Brenda rushed home, a large part of the kitchen was burned down. Leo and I, our faces smudged with dirt, huddled outside the door. Looking at the house consumed by fire, she trembled with anger, grabbed me, stripped off my pants, and spanked my backside hard.
Lily, how can you be so useless? What if Leo had burned to death? I should just send you back. No amount of beating is enough.
I gritted my teeth, not letting out a single cry, only feeling my resentment towards her deepen. Leo sat beside me, sobbing and wailing.
It wasn't her! It wasn't her!
Only when neighbors came to inquire did Brenda learn that Leo couldn't wait. Because it was so cold, he had accidentally caused the fire. She knew she had blamed me wrongly, but still glared. Her eyes narrowed.
If you had come home earlier, this wouldn't have happened.
To repair the house, she spent a considerable amount of money, leaving us with very little. Brenda struggled immensely. Even during the holidays, we couldn't afford a proper festive meal. She angrily threw a few rare pieces of meat into my bowl.
Eat up. You're as skinny as a stick. People will think I'm mistreating you.
I kept my head down, mumbling. You are, though. From then on, Leo followed me like a little shadow. I would lie on the bed and tell him interesting stories from class. Today, our teacher taught us a beautiful poem. Let me read it to you. And Mikey from the next class tried to imitate the older boys playing leapfrog, fell with a thud, and tore a hole in his pants. Leo seemed to live in his own world, his clear eyes sparkling as if they held the entire starry sky. The following autumn, Leo also started school. Brenda thought for a long time, finally deciding to hold me back a year to better care for my brother. I was reluctant but could do nothing else. The muddy roads, his weak legs, most of the time I carried him. I would pick up scraps, gather wild fruits, and every time I sold them for a few dollars, I'd buy taffy for Leo. That was a time that, even now, I remember with warmth. But then we, two lost children, gradually became the town's joke. One afternoon before school let out, Mikey from the next class and his gang of kids locked me in the storage room.
Let's see if you can get home today. And what about that cripple?
They laughed heartily. I screamed for help, but no one answered. All the students went home. No one saw me. Leo waited and waited, but couldn't find me. Finally, he walked home to jeers and laughter. The kids even imitated his limping gait. Night fell, and I was still missing. Brenda came home from work and, realizing I was gone, frantically searched for me. It wasn't until dawn that she found me and carried me out of the cramped, cold room. My body was burning with fever. Delirious in bed, I heard her scolding.
Where did you run off to? Leo was scared to death. Why didn't you fight back against those kids, you useless thing?
Her voice grew softer and softer. I sobbed with frustration, then felt someone gently wiping my tears. Later, I learned that Brenda had braved the rain that night, knocking on every door, asking around. One of the children, scared by her threats, finally confessed. After hearing it, she rushed off. She was so furious that her hands were clenched tightly, nails digging into her palms, blood oozing out. The next day, she took the day off work. With her fierce and sharp-tongued demeanor, she stormed straight into the school. The moment she entered, she cursed directly at the homeroom teacher, demanding a clear resolution. In those days, teachers were revered. Parents and students alike respected them. Teachers could punish students however they wished. But Brenda wouldn't accept that. She called all the parents of the bullying kids and caused a ruckus. She glared at each person, her voice menacing.
Let me tell you all something. Brenda Peterson here isn't afraid of anyone. If anyone dares to lay a hand on my daughter again, I'll fight you tooth and nail.
I don't know where that strength came from, but her powerful presence silenced the entire room, making everyone cower. But Mikey's mother still wasn't backing down.
What daughter of hers? You think you're raising her so well? Huh, every day she wishes her real mother would come for her. Look at her. She's just an ungrateful wretch. She deserves to be locked up. Kids just playing around. What's all the fuss about?
Brenda went ballistic, lunging to fight the woman.
Listen to me clearly. Only I get to hit her. Who do you think you people are? Fine, let me lock your son in a dark basement for a while and see how you like it.
That day, Brenda's display of power truly worked. From then on, the kids never dared to bully us again. Whenever they saw me, they'd quickly step aside. Brenda poked my forehead, lecturing me.
Your brother can only rely on you. If anyone bullies you, hit them back hard. See who's tougher. If you're weak, you'll just get walked all over. Stand tall when you walk.
After saying that, she slapped my back firmly.
Go do the laundry.
Go do the laundry.
Although everything she did was for Leo, in that moment, I no longer hated her as before. The sheer amount of housework became a habit, and gradually, I no longer thought of my biological mother. In 2009, as we were preparing for middle school, the factory where Brenda worked downsized, and she lost her job. Over the years, the money spent on Leo's treatment hadn't left much, and now we were even more strapped for cash. Someone introduced her to a suitor, a man in his 30s who had never married and didn't mind that she had 2 children to raise. Her colleagues advised her to send me elsewhere, but she just sighed.
My daughter's grown now. Her marriage money can't go to an outsider.
The appearance of that man, Frank, brought a fragile sense of stability to our makeshift family. With her sewing skills, Brenda opened a small shop in town, but the peace didn't last. Frank began to have ill intentions towards me.
Come here, Lily. Uncle Frank has some yummy candy for you.
I was 14 and starting to develop, my teenage figure becoming more noticeable. At first, he just made excuses to caress my face and arms, but it became increasingly inappropriate, and he tried to pull me into a room. Although he never succeeded in his intentions, I didn't dare report it to the police, and I certainly didn't dare tell Brenda. She had never shown any concern for me before. I was only here for food. I wasn't sure if she would side with me or collude with him. That day, the sky was heavy and gray. Leo fell asleep after taking his medicine. Frank crept into my room again. I was terrified and tried to run, but he was too strong. I was pinned to the bed. Outside, Leo woke up, pounding on the door and crying hysterically. Just as I was on the verge of despair, Brenda returned. She kicked open the bedroom door and charged in. I squeezed my eyes shut, expecting her to hit me. But no, she lunged at Frank, grabbed him by the collar, and dragged him off the bed. A slap rang out like thunder. Leo stumbled in, quickly picking up a shirt to cover me.
It's okay. It's okay.
Frank, humiliated, yelled furiously.
She's not even your real daughter. What are you making such a big deal about? How dare you hit me?
Brenda roared, her eyes bloodshot.
Yes, I hit you. You're nothing but a beast. You scoundrel, I'll beat you to death to get my revenge.
For my sake, Brenda broke up with him. I never expected her to do that. The scandal spread, and no one would marry Frank after that. He held a grudge, occasionally sending people to harass the sewing shop. With no other option, the shop had to close. Losing our income and having no land to rely on, Brenda eventually had to find work at a construction site, doing physically demanding jobs typically done by men. Life was hard, but it went on. Leo and I were about to enter 9th grade. My academic performance was excellent. I had won first prize several times in city-level competitions, but Leo was the opposite. His studies were declining, and he would struggle to get into even a regular high school. His leg was getting weaker, and the doctor said he needed surgery, but where would we find that kind of money? Mikey, the bully from before, had dropped out of school and hung around outside all day, openly demanding to marry me. Leo heard this and angrily grabbed whatever was at hand, throwing it straight at Mikey.
Who do you think you are, daring to claim my sister?
Mikey, hit by the object, screamed loudly. Brenda looked at my report card, remained silent for a long time, then sighed.
You're old enough to get married now. What's the point of a girl studying so much?
I understood. She didn't want me to continue my education, but I disagreed. Education was the only path for me to escape this fate. I had to cling to that fragile thread to find a way out for myself. During the days waiting for my high school exam results, I followed Brenda to the construction site to help. She hunched over, carrying sacks of cement, struggling to lift them. The weather lately had been terrible. Brenda had arthritis and suffered from sleepless nights due to pain. I pressed my lips together, saying nothing, just silently helped her carry several sacks of cement.
Go home. Focus on your studies. When you have money later, just give me a share.
We walked home step by heavy step. When we suddenly encountered a face so unfamiliar, it was as if a lifetime had passed. My biological father had returned. All those years, he had been hiding from his debts. This time, having latched on to a wealthy heiress in the county, he was able to get back on his feet. But his new wife had a hysterectomy after giving birth to their daughter, and their only child suffered from a blood disorder. No one in the family had compatible bone marrow for a transplant. It was then that he remembered his past dalliances from years ago. He pleaded with us to undergo bone marrow testing and blood transfusions to save his daughter, promising Brenda a large sum of money and even offering to pay for Leo's leg surgery. But Brenda refused. She just coldly demanded the money he owed from years ago, and then grabbed a broom to chase him out.
You scoundrel! Do you even know what a conscience is? Only remembering us now? Get out! The further, the better. I never want to see your face again in my life.
My father yelled back, enraged.
What about Lily? She's my daughter. You have no right to control her. I'm taking her with me.
Brenda was choked with anger, swinging the broom straight at him.
Now you remember she's your daughter? Where were you when I was working my fingers to the bone raising her? Get out now.
He hurriedly ran off, but before he left, he shouted back.
Brenda, think about it. Leo's leg isn't a small matter. If you're willing to do the test, I can give them a better life.
A father using his own son's illness as a threat. I stood silently, watching from a distance. From beginning to end, he only mentioned the daughter he loved and his only son, Leo, never once mentioning me. If his youngest daughter hadn't fallen ill, would he have even remembered me? Brenda slumped into a chair and called me over.
Your biological father has returned. Do you want to go with him?
No. I shook my head.
No is right. The Hendersons are no good. I've raised you for so many years. If you dare go with him, I'll break your legs myself.
She mumbled as she counted the money my father had left. But no matter how she calculated, it still wasn't enough for Leo's surgery. The stubborn teenager huddled in the corner of the bed, speaking softly.
Mom, sister, I don't want the surgery anymore. Just give me some medicine.
Brenda angrily cut him off.
What did you say?
What? From then on, for an entire month, she worked without eating or sleeping. After her shift, she would go to the market and set up a stall, so busy that her feet barely touched the ground. I also worked part-time at a restaurant, serving and cleaning to earn extra money. But compared to the cost of the surgery, that meager amount was just a drop in the ocean. Around that same time, the high school exam results came out. The teacher called, his voice full of excitement.
Lily Henderson, congratulations! You passed! I knew you could do it!
I had passed the entrance exam to Northwood High, the #1 school in the county. I could continue my high school education. Brenda secretly wiped the corners of her eyes, but still pretended to be indifferent.
Well, looks like you have some prospects after all.
It was then that I understood her earlier reaction wasn't because she didn't want me to study, but because she couldn't afford the tuition. I burst into tears and hugged her tightly. "Thank you, Aunt Brenda." She stiffened, then gently stroked my hair with her calloused hand. After many sleepless nights, we finally scraped together enough money for Leo's surgery. But what about my tuition? My father, hearing the news, crept back to the house, his face grim.
What's the good of a girl studying so much? Getting married early and bringing in marriage money, wouldn't that be better? Look at Amy, the neighbor's daughter. She's been working for a long time. I can find a good match for her. We can split the marriage money. It'll be worth all the trouble you went through raising her, Brenda. What do you say?
I stood behind them, clenching my fists. In this northeastern region, academic achievement was highly valued. When children passed exams, parents would sell everything they owned to send them to school. I was the only one in the entire town to get into Northwood High. Normally, that would be cause for celebration. But when it came to me, someone said I wasn't worthy. By what right? I was silent, but certain Brenda wouldn't agree. Yet after only a few seconds, she surprisingly chuckled.
All right.
In that moment, the blood in my veins seemed to freeze, my entire body sinking into a cold abyss. Children growing up in such circumstances, their hearts already fragile, how could they bear it? Why did Brenda agree? I had clearly come to see her as my own family. My father smirked triumphantly, rubbing his hands together.
That's great. I'll give you half the money right now.
After he left, Brenda's expression suddenly turned cold.
Aunt Brenda. Aunt Brenda.
My voice trembled. I didn't dare continue, afraid to hear words that would wound me. She spoke up.
You got into Northwood High. Your father just said he wants to use the marriage money as a trade-off. Did you hear that? Now, I'm just asking if you're sure you can stay in the top 200 of the school.
At Northwood High, only those in the top 200 of the entire grade had a chance to get into a top-tier university. In my town's middle school, I was always first, but when compared to the entrance exam roster, I was ranked 468. I can do it. I definitely can do it. I nodded decisively. I could afford to lose now, but if I married early, I would lose everything. I didn't want to end up like Amy, the neighbor's daughter, who married young, had children young, went south to work in a factory, left her children in the countryside, and slowly became a distant mother, worn down by life until she had no vitality left. My future, I had to seize it myself. I absolutely would not accept such a bleak life.
Good. As long as you guarantee to be in the top 200 for university entrance, I'll let you continue your studies. You don't need to worry about the money. But your father neglected you all these years. It's time he contributed a little.
The next day, my father truly brought a wad of cash to the house. As soon as he entered, he put on the facade of a kind father, reaching out to pat my head.
Lily, your dad just wants you to live a good life. Waking up early and studying late every day, it's too hard on you. Your dad found a respectable family for you, well known in town. If you marry into it, you're guaranteed a good life. You'll eat well and dress well.
My whole body trembled. Leo, standing next to me, was fuming, breathing heavily. The family was rich, but their only son suffered from cerebral palsy and couldn't care for himself. My father wanted to marry me into that family, which was no different than pushing me into a pit of fire. In my memory, when I was little, every time my father came home from work, he would buy snow cones and bring home balloons, tickling my face with the strings. When did he stop loving me? When did he turn into this kind of person? Brenda sat counting the money. Her voice was cold.
You can leave now.
My father nodded, pulling my arm.
Come on, daughter. Come home with Dad and enjoy your good fortune.
I didn't budge, my voice even colder. Go where? I'll take your child support and you get out. My father was stunned, unable to comprehend. Brenda suddenly ripped her clothes, messed up her hair, and screamed loudly.
Is anyone there? Come see this outrageous thing. I raised a child who isn't even blood related, nurtured her from a young age, and now her biological father, who just showed his face, wants to sell his daughter for marriage money. For all these years, he hasn't contributed a dime. It's all been on me, a poor, unfortunate woman. It's almost the end of summer.
Her voice boomed through the street. People just getting off work quickly gathered in front of the yard.
What's she yelling about?
My father panicked, but the whispers had already started around them.
I know. He's been married twice and ran off both times. In the end, Brenda had to raise his daughter.
Shameless indeed. Raised her for so many years, and now he wants to just take the marriage money?
Hold him. He still owes me and my brothers money. Let me call some people.
My father was already deep in debt, and this trip back home was clandestine. Seeing more and more people gathering, he panicked and ran. Brenda clutched her shirt, gritting her teeth.
You think you can just keep the child support money? How do you plan to explain this?
He quickly shook his head, then jumped into his car and sped off. Some people chased him, while others stayed to comfort Brenda and me. Brenda wiped away tears, saw everyone off, then curled up on the bed and continued counting the money. Aunt Brenda, I'm sorry.
Brenda, I'm sorry.
I whispered. I knew Brenda was the most prideful person. For all these years, she had been like a sturdy stalk of corn, never bowing her head, strong and carrying the burden. But now, for my sake, she had to humble herself like this. Brenda looked up, poking my forehead fiercely.
The tuition is enough, but remember this clearly. You'll have to pay me back 100 times, 1,000 times the marriage money later. I don't do business at a loss. Otherwise, just wait. I'll come find you. I'll cling to you for the rest of your life.
Her voice was harsh, but both our eyes were red-rimmed. Thanks to this money, plus my good performance in the Northwood High entrance exam, the town granted me an additional scholarship. Leo's leg was also healed. He just needed 2 months of rest to walk normally again. That was the greatest look. But his academic results weren't good enough for high school. He enrolled himself in a vocational school to study auto mechanics. He said his dream was to build the most beautiful cars to take Brenda and me to the beach someday. When I entered Northwood High, I truly understood how difficult it was to keep my promise to stay in the top 200. Before that, I had never taken extra classes, never participated in competitions. I had only pooled money with friends to buy study guides. In the first monthly exam, I dropped to rank 489, more than 20 spots lower than when I first started. It was then that I realized effort alone might not be enough. The frustration choked me. I just wanted to burst into tears. The story is translated by Diamond Jar Stories, exclusively for Diamond Jar Stories. But when I came home, Brenda looked at my report card not with anger, as I expected. She pressed a crumpled $200 bill into my hand.
A stupid bird has to fly earlier. You have to work several times harder than others. Take this, buy books, and study. Don't just bury your head in every word. You need to understand 3 things from 1.
Brenda also told me that my father's youngest daughter was finally saved, thanks to her stepmother's family paying for it. As for my father, after Brenda had squeezed a sum of money out of him, he couldn't get it back, was ridiculed by everyone, and ended up living a life of hiding. But he managed to turn the situation around, beginning to boast everywhere that only he would pay for his child's high education.
Just ask if any other family would pay so much for their child to go to such a good school.
When he learned my first monthly exam results were terrible, he even drove to the school, pointing a finger directly at my face and scolding me.
The money I gave you was truly wasted. You useless thing. Why did I even give birth to you? It'd be better if you just obediently got married.
I looked at him coldly, swatting his hand away. What are you to me? He yelled.
I'm your father. How dare you talk back?
I curled my lip into a faint smile, my eyes filled with contempt. Who do you think you are, pointing your finger in my face? You can't even take care of yourself. From childhood to adulthood, have you ever cared about me? You gamble and cheat. My stepmother must have been blind to marry someone like you. Let me tell you, whether my grades are good or bad has nothing to do with you. Get as far away as possible. That was the first time in my life I had ever defied him, without a trace of fear. My father's face turned beet red with anger.
Fine. I'll see what a bottom-ranked student like you can achieve. Don't come crawling back to me then.
After that day, I began to cut down as much as possible on eating, sleeping, and resting. I wanted to prove that I was no less capable than anyone else. Money was tight. I had to buy my own textbooks and study materials, and I learned to save every penny. In the first-floor cafeteria, for breakfast, I only dared to eat a plain steamed bun for 50 cents. For lunch, it was a steamed bun with stir-fried vegetables for $2.50. In the evening, I'd eat leftover dough cakes from lunch with a little more vegetables, costing only $1.50. The second floor had spicy hot pot noodles on skewers. For me, that was a luxury I never dared to look at. But the pressure of studying was immense. I was often so hungry I felt dizzy and faint. The bus fare from school to town was $7.50, round trip $15. Just to save money, I didn't go home once throughout the entire semester. I even shamelessly approached my desk mate, Ethan Miller, for help with my studies. He was a real academic ace, always wearing black-rimmed glasses, a typical bookworm. Every time I opened my mouth, he would huff, an incomprehensible annoyance.
Wouldn't it be better if you got a tutor? Why do you cling to me every day? Do you always have to look at my face?
I answered honestly. I don't have money. That's why I'm trying to butter you up. Ethan was speechless and said nothing more, just silently marked important passages in his book for me. Sometimes sincerity is the most powerful weapon. But even though I studied day and night, for the final exam, I only moved up just over 40 spots. Standing before the large scoreboard, I wanted to cry but couldn't. It was too hard. Why was it so hard? I didn't dare go home, planning to hide in the dorm for the entire winter break. Unexpectedly, Leo traveled all the way to school to find me. The moment he saw me carefully scooping up every last bit of egg from the free soup, he trembled with anger.
Mom said you hadn't come home in so long. She was afraid you'd been sold off, so she sent me to check on you. Is this how you're eating? Lily Henderson, what have you become?
His voice choked, about to cry. He pulled me to a small restaurant outside the school gate and ordered 2 meat dishes. Sweet and sour fried pork, and braised and stir-fried pork. I was so hungry, I devoured it, finishing 3 bowls of rice. Sitting opposite me, Leo's eyes were red-rimmed.
I came to take you home for the holidays. Mom said you weren't texting. She was worried sick.
I swallowed the last piece of meat, hesitant to ask. Can we get some to go? Leo looked at me, speechless. When I got home, I found Brenda even more haggard. Since I started high school, her burden had grown heavier. She had chosen to clear forests on the mountain. In 40-degree weather, she carried bundles of birch branches to the collection point. Even with gloves, her hands were cracked and bleeding. In town, the kids who attended Northwood High were also gossiping about my academic performance. Mikey, who used to bully me, had dropped out of school and gone to work in the South, while his mother sat gossiping all day.
What's the point of studying so much? Even if she's smart, she's just soft clay that can't be molded into anything good. Girls who study science will just slow down their brains. Raising her up is truly ridiculous.
Brenda, hearing this, glared, her voice sharp.
My daughter wanted to take the exam, and your kids couldn't even get close to the school gate, so don't talk so much.
Before I returned to school, she called me into the room. In the warm room, Brenda pressed $500 into my hand.
Leo told me everything. You're being too frugal, aren't you? Spending only $5 a day. How can you survive eating like that? You're so skinny. People will think I'm mistreating you. Take this. Consider it a loan from me. You'll have to pay me back 100, 1,000 times later. Understand? And throw away that ripped bra. Girls should wear proper bras or people will laugh. I'm investing in you. Don't haggle over every single penny anymore. Next time you come home, if you haven't gained at least 5 pounds, don't blame me.
Her mouth was still as sharp as ever, but I understood. I understood everything. With money, I no longer had to go hungry, nor did I have to push myself to exhaustion with studying. Every day, I woke up at 7 a.m. and went to bed at 10:30 p.m. My complexion and spirits improved significantly. I no longer dozed off in class. I gathered every resource I could, practically sticking to the teacher's lounge after every class. I pestered Ethan with questions until he got annoyed. In return, I took on daily chores like cleaning and emptying the trash. Ethan rolled his eyes.
I really don't understand. What did I owe you in a past life to be tormented like this?
In the second semester of 11th grade, my grades improved significantly, just reaching the top 200 of the entire grade. Before I even had a chance to go home and brag, my father showed up at school. I hadn't seen him in a long time. He looked noticeably older, but as soon as he saw me, tears streamed down his face, his voice full of remorse.
Your dad shouldn't have abandoned you back then. You were so small and suffered so much humiliation. It pains your dad's heart. Your dad knows his mistake. Please, give your dad a chance to make amends.
It turned out his youngest daughter's illness had recurred, and she had passed away. His new wife had also left him. I looked at his haggard face, a flicker of sadness in my heart, but then he pulled me into a secluded restaurant. Before me sat a strange man with a regional accent, already waiting. My father immediately introduced me.
This is my daughter. Smart, thritty, top of her class at Northwood High. Excellent achievements.
The man looked at me like I was merchandise, even reaching out to touch me. I snapped awake. My father was up to his old tricks again. If force didn't work, he tried gentle persuasion. He had fallen back into gambling and wanted to sell me for marriage money. He kept coaxing, saying he wouldn't force me to marry the boy with cerebral palsy anymore, just to go south and have children for a wealthy family. Each child would be worth tens of thousands, and I wouldn't have to worry about food or clothes for the rest of my life. I remained silent for a long time, then spoke softly. Dad, this is the last time I'll call you that. From now on, you're not worthy of that title. The police are coming soon. Thank you for putting me in such a situation so I could lose all faith in you. Before coming, I had told Ethan to report any abnormalities immediately. My father frantically clutched my clothes, winking at the other man. But before they could do anything, the police burst in and blocked the door. He yelled after me from behind, calling me ungrateful for daring to put my biological father in jail. Yes, I am, but on the other hand, what right do you have to treat me like this? How many years you spend in prison, I don't care. It's all your own doing. Ethan and Leo surrounded me, worried. I smiled to reassure them. No longer being harassed, my grades gradually stabilized. I even found time to discuss a small business venture with Ethan, importing packaged snacks, potato chips, lotus root slices, duck neck, duck bones. On weekends, we sold them for $5 a packet. They'd be gone in 2 days, leaving a profit of $2.50 after expenses. The school prohibited sales, so Ethan would run like mad with the boxes, dodging dorm supervisors. I watched, chuckling. He poked my forehead in annoyance.
How much did I owe you in a past life to be tormented like this in this one?
Before the 12th grade mock exam, I had saved $1,800. I already had plans for this money. By then, my ranking was solidly in the top 50. On the day the university entrance exam ended, Brenda and Leo waited outside the gate, her hair streaked with silver, her eyes anxious like any other parent. I ran out, holding the gold ring I had prepared. Mom, thank you for all these years.
Mom, thank you for all these years.
She was surprised, scolding me.
What a waste of money on this. My hands are rough. A ring wouldn't even look good. Why didn't you save the money and pay me back later?
But then I saw her showing it off to everyone in the neighborhood, from neighbors to colleagues. This gold ring is so beautiful. It's so shiny. I just have to wear it so I don't disappoint the girls' thoughtfulness. Both Brenda and I were awkward at expressing affection. The days waiting for the scores felt like an eternity. I knew my abilities, and a good feeling vaguely lingered in my heart. So I applied for a part-time job at a boba tea shop. Leo graduated from vocational school, and a teacher helped him find a job. His salary was $2,000 a month, a dream figure at the time. He puffed out his chest.
Sister, you just go to college. I'll take care of your tuition.
He was earning his own money, and Brenda also breathed a sigh of relief, no longer having to do heavy labor as before. On the day the results were announced, I was working at the shop when someone stood outside the door and asked,
"Excuse me? Does Lily Henderson work here?"
I looked up. A face both familiar and distant. It was my biological mother. My last memory of her was the corn she used to trick me into Brenda's house.
Mom has been looking for you for a very long time and finally found you. You've grown up so much now, and you're even prettier. I heard you got into Northwood High. You have such a promising future. Indeed, you are your mother's daughter.
She said a lot, but I felt empty. How many times had I dreamed of her returning to pick me up? Piecing together her words, I understood that she had moved south years ago to start a new family, had more children, and completely forgotten the child left behind in this frozen north.
The scores are out. You can apply for an education program to get free tuition. Get married. The family I found is accepting of your background, stable, and will take care of the household. Mom worked so hard to find you. Mom wants to live with you for the rest of her life now.
I listened, then burst into laughter. After a long moment, I spoke. Mom, didn't you promise to come back for me in a month? She stood frozen like a statue.
Mom, do you know that 1 month, 43,800 days have passed? I waited day after day for you to come back for me, to take me home. I always thought it wasn't strange that Dad didn't love me, but your abandonment was what hurt me the most because I still believed you loved me.
When I was little, my father rarely paid attention to me, and my mother only cared about playing. But at least she always picked me up on time after school and would buy me the snacks I liked. Even if she was busy playing mahjong, she would drag me along. She frantically defended herself.
Mom had her own difficulties. Mom really loves you, but Mom also had to live for herself.
I cut her off without hesitation. Perhaps, but that love you had for me is only a thing of the past. My mother choked up.
Why?
I looked straight at her. Why did Aunt Brenda dare to trust me with you? Because she believed that in this world, no mother would abandon her child. But you, on the other hand, it's not hard to understand at all. You just love yourself more. When I was a burden, you threw me away. When I have use, you come back. You still don't understand, Mom? Mom, I don't need your love anymore. My mother's face immediately hardened. She raised her hand as if to slap me, but I just calmly looked straight at her, not flinching. She trembled.
You misunderstand me. Mom had her own difficulties.
In the end, she could only repeat those 2 sentences, then staggered out of the shop. I didn't cry. I only felt a burning sensation in my nose. Perhaps, for my biological parents, my first cry when I was born was also the last time I cried for them. Crying any more truly wasn't worth it. I didn't tell Brenda or Leo about this incident. I had grown up, knew how to take responsibility for myself, and knew how to protect the people I wanted to protect. On the day of the university exam results, those who loved to gossip gathered again in front of the yard. Mikey's mother didn't forget to mock, her voice shrill.
At most, she'll get into a 3rd-tier school, maybe even drop straight to a community college. She'll be lucky to get into any school at all. She'll have to pray to God.
That's right. Lily Henderson never did well in school anyway. University is so hard to get into now.
Mikey also chimed in. He had just returned from working in the South.
Lily, you probably failed. How about marrying me? I've saved a little money. We can open a small shop together. You don't need to work. Just stay home and raise the kids.
I rolled my eyes in disdain, ignoring the mocking laughter around me, and dialed the inquiry line for my scores. The mechanical female voice from the other end of the line made the entire house tense, holding its breath.
Candidate Lily Henderson. Scores are as follows: English 119, Math 128, Science 128, Electives 226. Total score 601.
I was stunned. 601 points, the highest score I had ever achieved. Ethan's message immediately arrived.
You're in the top 50 of the entire class.
The house was so silent you could hear every breath. After a long moment, gasps of astonishment broke the quiet.
Didn't they say she was the worst in her class?
600 points. She must have gotten into a top-tier school.
Unbelievable! Lily Henderson is that amazing?
Brenda, upon hearing, immediately puffed out her chest, her voice sharp and triumphant.
See? Who said my daughter was bottom of the class? This score is enough for a Tier 1 university. Do you know what a Tier 1 university is? Which one of your kids can compare to mine? You dare talk about marriage? Look at yourselves, fat as a rolling ball. Not even worth Lily Henderson's little toe.
Those who had just been disparaging now rushed over to congratulate her.
I told you, Lily Henderson is excellent. Indeed, girls are no less capable than boys.
Brenda, the girl you raised is truly worth it. When she succeeds, remember not to forget your hometown.
Mikey awkwardly scratched his head.
I'm going to go now.
Leo couldn't hold it in and burst out laughing. Amidst the envious and admiring words, Brenda smiled brightly all day. The heavy stone in our hearts had finally fallen. The next day, she happily said she would cook a delicious meal for Leo and me, and that she would ask to leave work early today. It was a rare occasion for me to sleep in until noon when a commotion erupted outside.
It's bad. The rubber factory collapsed. Many people are trapped.
The rubber factory? My heart suddenly ached, my eyelids twitching. That was where Brenda worked. Leo and I looked at each other in horror, then ran like mad towards it. Before us lay only a pile of rubble and debris, the sounds of cries for help and weeping echoing everywhere. Just yesterday, the sky was still deep blue, the sun still golden. But today, disaster had struck. I stood frozen, my entire body cold. No, Brenda couldn't have abandoned me like this. Leo and I frantically dug through every piece of brick, every concrete block. Our bodies covered in dust, our hands raw and bleeding, not caring. Nothing here, nothing there. Where was Brenda? Our bodies were tattered, our faces smeared with dirt, covered in wounds, but we still couldn't find her. Finally, I collapsed, sobbing uncontrollably. I had so many things I hadn't had a chance to tell her, that I was truly ready for her to spend my money, how delicious her cooking was, that I truly loved her.
Mom, where are you?
I knelt down, crying with all my heart. In my heart, Brenda had long been my mother. Even though she always scolded me, even though she still said I would have to pay her back someday, I felt the love she had for me. When she ran around everywhere for my tuition, when I was bullied, she stood in front of me. When she picked up pieces of meat and put them in my bowl, that silent but powerful love was the only maternal love I had in this world.
Lily Henderson.
Brenda's voice echoed from behind me. She scolded us anxiously.
What are you two doing running here? It's so dangerous. Don't you care about your lives?
I was stunned, unable to believe my eyes. Brenda was completely unharmed. I rushed forward and hugged her tightly. Mom! Her whole body stiffened, her hands and feet unsure where to go. After a long moment, she softly hummed. It turned out that day she had gone to a distant market to buy fresh fish to cook for Leo and me. And thanks to that, she avoided the terrible accident.
You're my lucky star. Otherwise, I definitely wouldn't have escaped.
She mumbled, calling me her lucky star, saying if it weren't for me, she surely wouldn't have escaped. From that day on, I naturally called her Mom. Leo did too. Brenda also responded naturally. No one said anything further, but the fleeting, hesitant glances spoke volumes. When applying for university, Ethan and I both chose State University A. I remember clearly that on the day the university entrance exam ended, he once said,
"I've never met a girl like you. Sensitive, resilient, but always full of drive to move forward. Congratulations, you finally secured your own future."
I chose law, dreaming of becoming an attorney. The first movie I ever saw was Legally Blonde, and I remembered a line from it. The greatest charm of a woman is not beauty, nor the blind sacrifice of maternal love, but the strength in a storm and independence of spirit. Reason in love, holding firm to faith after bitterness. Always believe in yourself. That became my motto. In my junior year of college, Ethan proposed. I didn't accept right away, only telling him to teach me calculus and linear algebra first. From a naive young man, he gradually matured. Once again, he shook his head helplessly.
I really must have owed you in a past life.
Later, he would often proudly boast.
I tutored my wife to win her over.
We lived like a normal couple, experiencing normal days. But that normalcy was once a distant dream for the little girl from years ago, who had to stoop over a pot larger than herself to cook. After graduation, I was accepted into a large law firm, advancing step by step. I alone knew the hardships and pressures, but I never strayed from the path I had chosen. When I was 28, my annual income reached a 7-figure sum. And Brenda, the woman who used to demand money from me every day, now never mentioned money anymore. When I got married, she even gave me the only jade bracelet she had brought from her birth home. On regular days, she would still grumble, telling me to save money, saying she still had money, but I ignored her, buying bird's nest soup, clothes, taking her to get her hair done, and for skincare treatments. I truly did it. I paid her back 100, 1,000 times over. And only then did I understand that love is never measured by money. Leo also got married. He was talented and hardworking. Just a few days ago, he drove his own car to pick us up for Hot Pot. Life was getting better and better. Until one day, right before the vacation I planned to take Brenda on, 2 uninvited guests blocked me right in my office. Looking at them, they must have searched for a very long time to find me. My father had been released from prison, his beard long and scraggly, his clothes torn and dirty, his entire body filthy and emaciated. My mother also stood beside him. Those 2 stood in the luxurious office, their greedy eyes darting everywhere. Over the years, she had constantly sent me messages, sometimes recounting her remorse, sometimes crying and pleading. If I didn't respond, she would immediately turn hostile and curse at me. After some time, she would soften her tone and come back to find me. I knew perfectly well that he and she weren't living well, clinging to me like stubborn mold that, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't scrub clean. At this moment, they excitedly grabbed my hand.
Dad knew it. You must have succeeded. This office must cost a fortune, huh? Dad won't bring up the past anymore. Dad going to prison counts as punishment. So, how are you going to take care of Dad now?
Brenda frowned, about to call security. She didn't want me involved with them. I raised my hand to stop her, speaking softly. Mom, please sit to the side. Brenda was nearly 50, but thanks to my care, good food, and frequent beauty treatments, standing next to my biological parents, she looked 10 years younger. My biological mother, seeing this, angrily yelled.
I'm not dead yet. What do you mean by calling someone else Mom?
You have a duty to support us. If you don't give us $1 million, don't even think about leaving here. What good does following an outsider do? She sees you as an ATM, and you're stupid enough to give her money without realizing it.
I chuckled. Excuse me, I only recognize Brenda Peterson as my mother. I happily spend money on her. I do it willingly. A duty to support? Oh, so you 2 understand this duty? Well then sue me in court. At most, I'll only have to provide $800 to $1,000 a month. Beyond that, the law can't interfere. I am a professional. Do you need me to represent you 2 pro bono? They were so angry, their lips trembled, standing right in the middle of the office, wailing and throwing a tantrum.
Now that you have power and status, you forget your roots? Without us giving birth to you, where would you be today?
I curled my lip, a cold smile. Making a scene is useless. It's best not to cling to me anymore. Angering me won't do you any good. Otherwise, I'll sue you both for child abandonment. By then, don't even talk about child support. You won't get a single dime." I spread my hands, shrugging, full of defiance. "Go ahead, try it." Brenda burst out laughing, her eyes curving up with pride.
Thank you both for giving me such a wonderful daughter. Truly, it's my good fortune.
My father and mother continued to yell and curse in a frenzy, but were eventually dragged out by security. I looked directly at them, resolute. My good days don't include either of you. You come once, security will kick you out once. You don't deserve to be in my life. My mother finally understood. She had no place in my heart. Her face was ashen with despair. Before being dragged away, she choked out.
"Lily, I'm sorry."
I waved my hand. "No need to apologize. If you want to sue, go ahead. I'm waiting." Just as they had abandoned me when I was 8, today it was my turn to abandon them, decisively and without mercy. Brenda stood behind me. I took her hand, calloused but warm. "Mom, are all your things packed for our trip to Hawaii?"
Of course. I told you to book an earlier flight to save money, but you always like to do things your own way.
Brenda glared at me, scolding playfully. This little old lady was still worrying about saving money for me? I deliberately leaned close to her ear to tease her. "Mom, do you know how much I earn now?" She turned back to me seriously.
It doesn't matter how much you earn. As long as you're healthy and happy, that's enough.
My nose burned. Even my biological parents couldn't say these words to me. Not to mention that the relationship between Brenda and me was never simple. This only proved one thing. Brenda was a good person, an exceptionally good person. 20 years together, we had long become mother and daughter in heart. Regardless of blood ties or past events, we were still mother and daughter. I was once very unlucky to have such a father and mother, but I was also very fortunate that heaven gave me a mother who loved me with all her heart and a younger brother whom I could protect for the rest of my life. Taking in the salty sea breeze, my heart was a mix of emotions. I remembered the winter of 2004, so cold that I felt like a lifeless husk with nothing left to hope for. But today, holding Brenda's hand tightly, the winter within me became warm, strangely warm, no longer cold. This is the end of the story. Thank you for listening to the Chapter Hearth. Please support us with a like and a subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our latest exciting stories.